If you don't have a system, you have a job, not a business. And to me, even in my own way, where everything had to be, I made all the decisions. I had to approve the big financial transactions. You try to go on vacation with your spouse or something like that, and my wife's kicking me because I bring a laptop with me and I'm answering the phone and nothing's getting done without me. And so, do I really have a business? Am I really an owner of an entity, or do I just have a fancy title at a job I bought myself?
Welcome to the Cleaning Journey podcast, where we talk about the real stories behind building cleaning businesses that actually work. I'm your host, Misael Avalos. I started my business back in 2018 from scratch, and I built it into a 7-figure cleaning company. Now I sit down with other cleaning business owners to share their wins, their losses, their struggles, and their experiences that have helped them grow. Whether you're just getting started or you're already scaling, this is your place to learn, get inspired, and also level up your business and life. Let's jump in.
My name is Adam Pabletz. I am the CEO and president of Anigo Cleaning Systems. We are located in Pompano Beach, Florida, which is, for most, it's probably near Fort Lauderdale, is probably the closest big city someone would recognize. I've been with Anigo now going on 16 years. We are a 3-tier commercial cleaning franchise company. So most people are familiar with 2-tier franchises, like McDonald's and the corporate offices versus the folks who own the stores. Anigo is a 3-tier commercial cleaning franchise model, so that's a little bit unique in that. So I am at the corporate office. We sell what's called a master franchise. Then within that master franchise territory, they sell a unit or janitorial franchise. And so the easiest way for your listeners to kind of conceptualize that is, I would say, flip it upside down. When I say commercial cleaning, most people think about, the vision you get in your head is the guy with a mop and a broom or a vacuum or something like that, right? And so that would be the janitorial franchise and his team. And so their role, usually cleaning is done at night. So their role is, hire a crew, learn the chemicals, learn the equipment, keep the building clean, keep the customer happy. But the question is, well, where did he get his clients from? And so that turns into, what is the daytime aspect in the commercial cleaning business, right? And so someone has to be out there with the website, running the PPC campaigns, doing the SEO, hiring a sales team, knocking on proverbial doors, running email campaigns, whatever it takes to ultimately build a sales book and work through and add new and additional clients. And so what our model does is it essentially takes those two roles and separates them into two separate, unique franchises. So you have that master franchise who essentially runs the daytime aspects of a cleaning business, but does zero cleaning, right? So all that they're in charge of is they're running a sales team. They have an accounting team that's going to send invoices to the customers. They have customer service folks who are making sure the customers are happy if any phone calls come in, but again, do zero cleaning. And then you have your janitorial franchisee who is keeping the customers happy, keeping the buildings clean, but has no expenses whatsoever when it comes to having a sales team, spending money on a website. And so it creates this really cool synergy where everyone is able to save a lot of overhead and scale up very quickly.
That's the 3-tier.
Exactly.
That's the 3-tier. Okay. And you guys are, like you were mentioning, you're very involved in the business. And what is your part in what you do?
So what don't I do?
I bet. I mean, you were talking about 1,800, over 1,800 accounts.
So we
That's a
actually,
whole different headache.
yeah, we have over 1,800 franchises across the
Wow.
U.S., Canada.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting and, a new challenge every day, of course, but, very exciting. What do I do? How about this? What did I used to do? I used to do quite literally everything. What do I do now? I've deliberately gotten out of my own way and hired some senior officers to help me. So I've hired recently a chief operating officer, chief marketing officer, chief strategy officer, and rather than being sort of my own bottleneck where, I wanted everything to run through me. Now I'm able to focus more on like vision and strategy and direction rather than being in the, every little aspect of the day to day. And I think that was a good shift. That was a good shift for me for my sanity and then frankly for the overall good of the company.
What took you to that point where you're like, okay, we need to shift this because my sanity is very important. Obviously, your life, your family. What took you to that point, and then what was the first steps that you took to make that happen?
So I think it was coming out of COVID. There was all the great resignation that, that everyone heard about. That was the phrase they were calling it. And we had a few key members leave our company. I mean, I got caught so flat-footed, to where it was like, I was the one helping writing email marketing newsletters personally. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is chaos. I'm doing this wrong. And it was funny. I'm on the board at my church, and the church I go to, they're doing phenomenally. They're like I think they were the seventh fastest growing church in America, according to, I don't know, whatever magazine that rates churches. And I was talking to the pastor, and I said, listen, you guys are growing so fast. And every time you hire, you've been really doing a phenomenal job. Everyone's a home run. How do you do it? And I go, and now look, you're like saving lives and we're cleaning toilets. So I get, I get that the mission is a little different. Maybe the appeal is different. But
At
what
the end of the day, where there's mess being cleaned up.
there you go. And he told me about a book called Who by Jeff Smart. I don't get any plugs for it or anything like that. It just was a lifesaver for me. Shame on me, right? He tells me the book, and I put it in my Amazon cart, and then I left it there for like 3 months. But finally I read the book, and a lot of people have read things more like Who. It's called Who Not How is another book that people have that's probably more commonly known, where that's about like, I need to find the right people and put them on the right seats in order to drive the business forward. This actually gives you a specific strategy on, like, how do I put together the job ad? What should I put in it? What questions should I ask when I'm interviewing? What should the interview process look like? And right when this book came out was right when the iPhone had the thing where the OCR, where you could like scan the text of a book, and then it would put it into like a Word doc for you. So I'm like reading this thing, and I'm like, oh, that's good. And I take a picture and I flip the page, and I'm like, ooh, that's good too. And so I literally took it and made my own like cheat sheet, call it, of what I want when I'm trying to interview someone. And we use it. That's probably was 2000, maybe 20, was it 21 or 22? 21 or 22. And we use that process to this day. And since then, I've hired about 9 mid to senior level executives, like director, VP, C-suite. And I think what happens, and this is the interesting kind of pivot that occurred in my brain. Yeah, if as someone who's like climbed the corporate ladder or is trying to climb the corporate ladder, you get from whatever this role is to the next position, to the manager level, to the director level, etc., because the way you do things works within that business. And so what ends up happening is, the more, then they give you more responsibility, and you go, okay, now I have more people under me, and we're going to all do things my way because that's what got me here. And when you find out, what you find out as CEO is, you get to a point where like now literally everything is flowing through you. And because so much is flowing through you, you become the bottleneck. You become the slowdown because you want everything your way. And so you have to almost, it's like undoing 20 years of working, workplace knowledge of going, okay, wait a minute. Now I need to hire people that are smarter than me and get out of the way. And that has been such a blessing, uh, such a weight off my shoulders, and been great for our business. And so that whole combination, that was definitely a learning experience, and I learned it the hard way.
But you learned it, which is good.
Yeah.
Right? You learned it. You look young, so it would have
Mm.
been devastating. You're 70, 60, 70, and you're like still trying to hold on,
Yeah.
which is very normal, I think, for our nature to want to have control to
Yeah.
everything. And I mean, you're speaking on a different level, and it's important for us, like you mentioned, hire people that are better than us and put them in the right places and just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Things get done faster. You have more focused on the important tasks that you need to do, and it's a win-win.
Yeah.
How many people are currently in your leadership?
In senior leadership, there are currently, what is it? One, two, three, four senior leadership folks. And then one, two, three, four VP level folks. And then total staff at the corporate office here is about 50.
50. Okay. So, how do you lead by serving in a franchise environment where each business owner has their own goals and challenges? Like, how do you reflect your main people to be able to lead in that way?
So
Hey, real quick, do me a solid. Just like, subscribe, and share it with another cleaning business owner. We want to grow this community together because when we all learn together, the industry becomes stronger. Let's get back to our
So
guest.
yeah, it's very different being, being in a leadership role in a franchise versus a typical company, right? Because in a typical company, it's, well, I'm the boss and this is the goal and this is what we're driving towards. Whereas in a franchise, they own their own business. And now obviously there are guidelines and frameworks that things have to be done in, right? You wouldn't go to a, McDonald's to pick up a slice of pizza, right? And no franchisee would just, would be allowed to just start arbitrarily selling, I don't know, donuts at a Pizza Hut or something, you know what I mean? Like, there are some guidelines around it, but at the same time, I mean, you really have to focus on helping them grow their business. I mean, I came up through the proverbial ranks at Anigo. And when I started here, I was in my, call it, late 20s. And, my father had founded the business. And so, for my first job at Anigo, he literally he goes, congratulations. I was in corporate finance. He goes, congratulations. You're leaving your fancy finance job. In your first job at Anigo, you're going to be a telemarketer by day and a franchisee's assistant at night cleaning a daycare. And so, I mean, I quite literally did everything because number one, I had to know everything. You come in as the founder's kid. People are either going to go, "Oh, he got a silver spoon, lucky him," and they're not going to respect anything you say, or you got to earn it. Um, and then, I get out. So I did a very elongated training program where I did, telemarketing, I did cleaning, I did outside sales, I did customer service, and then I was put into the field. And when you go in the field and you're, a 20-something-year-old person and people are 40s and 50s and have been doing the business for 10 years, it's like, what do you bring to the table? And so the only thing I could think that I brought to the table was kind of coming at it with like a servant leadership approach. So it was like, what can we do for you that will help you grow your business? And then you go to every territory you have and every franchise you have and ask the same question. And you find out pretty quickly, there's some common themes of things that, can be done to improve the marketing, to decrease a cost here or there, to try to, improve the training, whatever it may be. And then you make that your focus. And so that's constantly the approach and I feel like we've continued that today. We're constantly going like, how can we invest in you and help you grow your business, knowing full well that if you grow your business in Atlanta, in Dallas, in Denver, wherever, that when you grow your business, well, my business grows off, or it's franchises, so it's royalty. So the bigger you get, the bigger I get, and everybody wins.
What's one of those questions you were mentioning, like you get it from all of your franchisees, like what's the one thing that they would like to be served and helped? What was that one question that you got back? That one thing that they needed help on?
Well, at the time, Anigo was just a name. It wasn't a brand. And so at the time, I love my dad. It was very much like the classic entrepreneur of like, slap a logo on it and you're Anigo too. There was no rhyme or reason. There wasn't a real, strategy about it. It was just, put the logo on it and you're branded. And so we went through this very, kind of big evolution of how do we go from Anigo the logo and everyone's entrepreneurial to like building this out to making it more systematic so that someone can step in. We can train them through a very specific process. And then when they come out of it, we know, if they do X, Y, and Z, that you have predictable outcomes. And that's what a franchise is, right? That's why Big Mac tastes the same anywhere you go around the world because, the Big Mac is made a certain way and with certain ingredients and cook times and everything like that. And so we said, we need to do that with our brand. And so that's what it ultimately came down to is like, how do we systematize, whatever the word is? How do we make our whole process much more systematic, plug and play versus just hoping very entrepreneurial people would grab it and take hold and run with it. It's like, no, no, we need to make this just plug and play.
Why should every business owner have their systems in place so that if they do need to replace themselves, they have those processes that they can give, like you said, like the Whopper, like the burger, like it tastes the same. Like, why do you think every business owner should have that system in place so that they could step away and be able to delegate?
If you don't have a system, you have a job, not a business. And to me, I mean, I've lived it. I've definitely, even in my own way, where everything had to be. I made all the decisions. I had to approve the big financial transactions. I had to, and so you try to go on vacation with your spouse or something like that, and my wife's kicking me because I bring a laptop with me and I'm answering the phone and nothing's getting done without me. And so, do I really have a business? Am I really, an owner of an entity, or do I just have a fancy title at a job I bought myself? And so, you have to look at it like that. You go, if I don't have some sort of structure and process in place, I have a job. And at some point, even though it's a business, you're going to want to retire. And if you don't have a process in place, what are you selling? You're selling yourself, your own expertise. And so what happens is there's no value in your business. So now you can't even exit. So everything is valued in terms of your own time and whether it's a sale or a retirement or whatever, everything is valued in the system and not the individual is where the value really comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's that famous saying, it says like, don't work in your business, work on it. And working on it is being able to kind of see your business in like a symphony type of way where it's just running by itself. And will things break? Yes. But that gives you feedback on what you can implement to be able to improve that process and system.
I
I
saw
think,
Sorry,
go
I
for
didn't
it.
mean to. I love what you said with the symphony analogy because I saw I forget what it was titled because there was a few of them, but it was a movie about Steve Jobs, and it was the one with Michael Fassbender and like Seth Rogen was in it as Steve Wozniak, and Steve Wozniak was getting on Steve Jobs, going like I created the Apple Macintosh, desktop or whatever. What the heck do you do, Steve Jobs? And Steve Jobs looks at him and he goes, I play the orchestra.
Mm.
And I loved that. And because it really is at the end of the day, as CEO, you shouldn't be focused on any one instrument. You have to be focused on all of the instruments and how they all come together and how they all sound together. So I love that. I love that quote out of that movie. It was so cocky in the movie, but and just in how you think about it, you go, yeah, I get it. I have to step back and listen to how all the instruments sound together, not just focus on, you know, one of them because that's my favorite or where what instrument I came up from, so to speak. I just loved that analogy in that movie.
Yeah, and it's important to also, to add to what you're saying, madam, is that to not get discouraged if something doesn't work. I think that that's very popular, and I guess what I mean popular is that it just happens more frequent to where people get discouraged when they hired that one person. It just didn't work out, or people are saying no to their price, or they're constantly having to go back and clean. And there's things that will continue to happen if we don't look at the data of what's happening and be able to get that feedback and create that action, that's those steps to be able to improve it. I'm a very believer of, and you're definitely, you guys are definitely doing that in a bigger scale. But like when you get feedback, it gives you the opportunity to find a solution. And when you're solution oriented, you build that better orchestra. You'll be able to hear the music a little bit better, not affect you if, the trombone is just missing their tone back there. You can just, hey, okay, let's go check the trombone. Let's make sure everything fits well. It takes time. I mean, you guys been in business over 20 some years, so it takes time to get there. But at the end of the day, systems and processes are very important. So yeah, you can go on vacation and you don't have to be the bottleneck of the whole thing. You were mentioning that you don't believe there's no such thing as a good experience. Only
only an expected one or a bad one. Can you explain that
Are
perspective?
you uncertain about what you're doing in your cleaning business that's not taking you to the next level? Or you might feel like what you're doing is not the right things. It is okay. That's why I'm here. I help cleaning business owners just like you get the right answers, put good systems and processes to grow your business with confidence. Without confidence, you cannot be a business owner and lead your people. Click the link down below to schedule a free call. We'll talk all business and I can give you the right steps for you to take to give you that confidence back. I cannot wait to connect with you.
Yeah, so in our industry, that is where that kind of gets isolated too. So, um, in the restaurant example, you can have one of three experiences, right? You go to a restaurant and the food is great, the waitress is phenomenal and friendly and helpful, and you have this good joy. I call it a joy experience. You could also have the opposite, right? You have a bad experience and you go there, the food's cold, it takes forever to come out, waiter's a jerk, and you go like, man, I will not go back there. Or you have this very middle of the road, like, well, your friend invited you to this restaurant because it was their birthday, and it was just very like unremarkable. It was just, if I got invited there again, I guess I would go, but I'm not seeking that place out. In cleaning, you only have two. There is no joy experience. Nobody goes, "Oh my goodness, this office is so clean. I'm going to get my janitor a birthday present." Doesn't happen, right? Either they get to their office and they're not thinking about the cleaning and they go, "Well, I got to work," and they sit at their computer and do their thing. Or they get to their office and they're like, "Why is my trash can still full?" Or like, "Why does the bathroom have that smell to it? What's going on here? What is this person cleaning my office doing?" And so we use that to kind of temper how we create some of our technology. At Anigo, we created a software called CleanCom, frankly, because we're unoriginal at naming conventions. So clean communication, CleanCom. And we created a software and we said, okay, we're not gonna be, no one's gonna fawn all over us and sell us how great we are. So we have, two moments of interaction with a customer, either one where they're not even going to be thinking about us or one where they're unhappy with us. And so how do we turn it's kind of customer service 101, right? How do you turn every negative experience into a positive? And that's what CleanCom did for us. And it's a tech stack that we created. It's proprietary to us. And what it does is if you do see that full trash can and you go, what the heck is this about? Normally, if you weren't with Anigo, normally what do you have to do? You have to go, okay, who cleans this office, right? And in bigger offices, a lot of times people don't even know who cleans the office. Who do I talk to about it? Do I find, do I Google them? Do I find them, do I find their phone number? Half the time you call them, like they're small cleaning companies and the voicemail's full or something like that. Or depending on where you are in the country, right? You realize you're like, hey, does anyone here speak whatever, such and such language, whether it's Spanish, Portuguese, in some places Mandarin, we have Vietnamese. You go, do you speak that? No. Oh, who does? Can so and so, can they leave a note for me? And it's just this like mess of a process. And so we said, okay, if we know that, complaints are inevitably going to happen in this business because there's a human element, right? So like pros of my business, it's not going to get exported to China. Amazon's not coming to town to displace everybody. It requires a person to locally walk into your office to physically clean it. But as we know, we're all human and we all make mistakes. And so
Yeah, for sure.
they're inevitable. They're going to happen. And so I have to make those mistake moments, one, as frictionless as possible. So you get to be able to voice your issue as fast and easily as possible, and then resolve it as quickly as possible. So what CleanCom does is it says, instead of goofing around with all that mess and trying to figure everything out, you take out your phone, you take a picture of whatever the issue is, you log what room the issue is in. My office didn't have, the cafeteria didn't, had a full trash can. You send it in whatever language you speak. It has built-in Google Translate so that whoever is receiving the message can read it in their native language. It has a 2-hour response guarantee, so they will respond to you within 2 hours, so you know when you're gonna get responded to. It's all private communication. You're not exchanging cell phone numbers or WhatsApps or anything like that. And then on the back end, we took it another level and we installed preventive analytics. So if you do have an issue where, a franchisee didn't do a good job in your kitchen and 2 or 3 other clients also have an issue with that same franchisee in the kitchen, it aggregates all of that data and sends it over to the master franchisee and says, "Hey, this franchisee might have, be struggling to clean kitchens. Why don't you give him the a retraining essentially on how to properly get the, kitchens done to the Anigo standard so that we prevent future problems and complaints about this particular person's service in this area again." So once you're essentially, here's my plug, right? Once you're with us, you don't have to go anywhere else ever again because we're going to solve it and make sure it doesn't happen again.
That's amazing. I mean, like you said, we're not perfect. We're human. Things will happen. And yeah, it's funny. That's the first thing they do think about. They walk in, they're like, okay, the cleaners missed the trash can. Everything else was cleaned, wiped, everything's fine, but that trash can just kind of,
Oh yeah.
it's something they focus on. And depending on the client, right? Some of them won't say anything, but some of them will. So doing it in such a high level like you guys, clean calm sounds like it works great for a massive scale of company, as I would say, I guess. When we're talking about the cleaning business owners that have, 5, 10 cleaners and they're a smaller company, a lot of owners resist to adopt technology. What advice would you give to them about staying adaptable and open to change?
So I would say a few things. One, especially with the advent of AI here, I think AI right now is sort of like the internet of 25 years ago or the computer of 40 years ago. It's coming. It's happening.
Here to stay.
It's here to stay. Just like in 2000, the year 2000, if you were anti the internet, like your business doesn't exist now. Everyone's on, everyone's on the internet. So one, I would just say change is inevitable. What is the quote? I think they say change is inevitable, growth is optional. It's happening, so you have two options at that point: drag your feet or embrace it and be at the front of the curve. So I would say number one is, recognize the reality and do your best to stay at the front of it. And then number two, all change really at the end of the day comes from the top. And so if you're wanting, if you're seeing a new technology come out and you're wanting your employees to use it, the only way they're going to do that, right? Because they all have full jobs and tons of stuff to do and a busy day. The only way they're going to embrace that is if you also make it a point to embrace that and deliberately go out of your way and make time where you go, hey, during the first half hour after everyone's lunch, I want you to catch these webinars on AI. And here's some links, and I've done the research and I've gone out of my way. And then, hey, we're all going to meet once a week and just talk about what we're using it on and how we're learning. It's just constantly staying in the creative and in the like learning mode. I feel like if you stop trying to learn and evolve is when you start falling behind. And so, part of my role really is, I'm at conferences about franchising. I'm at conferences about cleaning. I'm at conferences about technology, not because I enjoy crappy chicken meals at conference food and stuff like that, but because it's like you have to stay ahead and learn what's new. And if you're not spending time learning what's new, I guarantee you one of your competitors, if not most of your competitors, are. And so you
Yeah.
have to look at it as, time well spent in advancing your business.
1000%. You nailed it on there that if you're not working on yourself, it's going to be so much harder for you to see the opportunities and the possibilities of your business, right? So it's constantly trying to figure things to work better in your business, but also through yourself. There's a lot of technology, especially with AI, that has just been overwhelming to know what should we use, what shouldn't we use. But you have the point, like, you were mentioning, like, if you're not changing, you're falling behind, right? So if you're not changing, you're falling behind, you're not working on yourself, your business is just gonna, for me, the biggest thing is I always tell myself there's someone else working harder than me. So if there's someone else working harder than me, what am I doing? Right. Like,
Yeah.
and especially obviously it all depends on where you want your business to go and how you want to grow and so on and so forth. If your business is fine at 250,000 a year and 3 employees and you're happy with that and that makes you happy, great. That's what success means to you. But if you want to really, if financial freedom to you is really being able to give back to your community and be able to not look at the menu, not look at the price, and just buy and provide for your family on a whole different level, then it requires a whole different level of actions. So you mentioning like if you're not changing, you're falling behind. What innovations do you think cleaning business owners should be focusing on in the next few years?
The Cleaning Journey podcast is brought to you by Jobber, the all-in-one CRM built for service pros. From scheduling and payments to quoting and marketing, Jobber makes it simple to manage your business and impress your clients. I use it every day, and it's one of the biggest reasons my business runs smoothly. Try Jobber today with the link in the description down below. Try Jobber today by using the link down below. You can get 14 days free, then 20% off for the next 6 months. You have nothing to lose.
So, I get asked that a lot, and I think we're I think there's an easy way to be kind of like afraid of going like, "Oh, a robot's gonna come in and clean all the buildings," and I think the answer is not anytime soon. Now, are robotics being introduced and all that? Of course, they absolutely are. Right now, we're seeing that, if you're a big open warehouse format, there's a machine that can scrub that floor and go up and down the aisles without a person doing it. And that's not that complicated. Now, when you get into programming some sort of like humanoid robot that'll go through a call center and clean every single cubicle perfectly and not knock someone's stuff off their desk, we're not there. We're not going to be there in the foreseeable future. Maybe 10 years, and I don't want to be quoted as that, that dummy who didn't believe, but no, I think we have time. Where we're investing our dollars into technology is realizing that, again, it's a very human business, high touch business, but ultimately in customer service. And so if you're able to, like with the CleanCom example, right now I'm making it so it's easy for you to complain, low friction. I'm making it fast for us to fix your issue. I'm making it so that the people who do clean your office don't make the same mistake, hopefully, repeatedly. Then you layer that on with, what we're doing with the training of our franchisees, right? So now one of the things we're investing in right now is an e-learning platform. So rather than the master franchisee being notified and having to make a decision to act, now we'll have an e-learning platform where that would automatically serve up a video that the franchisee would have to watch, a test they would have to take to then ultimately be recertified on proper kitchen cleaning techniques in that example, so that ultimately, right, it's let's get ahead of this, let's stay ahead of it, and then automate things we know are going to happen in any kind of level of repetition. And then you combine that with transparency. So we're working on, I haven't named it anything yet, but we're calling it like the customer health portal, where essentially we're going to be totally transparent with customers and say, okay, here is areas that we found when we were doing our inspection that need improvement. Here were areas that you reported to us. Here are things that your franchisee is getting retrained on right now, so that you know exactly what's going on in your facility. And oh, by the way, you're at a B plus and we want you to be at an A. And being just radically transparent, where I feel like other businesses are trying to like hide behind the walled garden and not show what's really happening. It's like, no, let's just be totally upfront. People, it's 2025 right now. It'll be 2026 very shortly. People don't want to be, knowledge used to be power. Now knowledge is free. And unlimited knowledge. And so if you can just share the knowledge that you have of what you're doing, why you're doing it, where you fall short, what you're looking to improve, that's to me is where we're investing right now in technology, is the in transparency and customer service, with the fact that maybe 10, 15 years from now, we'll also have to get some robots.
Yeah, yeah. And you'll be able to, I mean, I love humans. I love my team. But if I can get me 10 robots and put them in homes,
Oh yeah.
we'll have that conversation at that time, But um, yeah, it's being able to be transparent. I love that you said that, because yes, why hide? I not tell a client, of things that could be improved in their office space. Why not take responsibility and say, you know what, we're sorry we missed the trash can. We will not do that again, and make sure that it's not being done. But like the transparency of being open and having that communication, people love that. They want to be able to trust you and get your suggestions, get your feedback. And at the end of the day, if you say you're going to do it, just do it. I think that that's all great. So tell us, how can cleaning business owners get their hands on CleanCom?
You got to buy an Anigo franchise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's
There it
proprietary.
is. Can and how can
That's the
someone
secret sauce.
And how can someone get that secret sauce through Anigo? Your website, they apply and all that process?
Yeah, you would go to our site is anagocleaning.com, ANAGO cleaning.com. And there's a button on the top right that says, own a franchise. And we're happy to talk to anyone at who's looking to buy a master franchise, like that territory regional owner. You're probably white collar background, have some sales skills, marketing skills, management skills. Or you're going, hey, I'm just looking for some side cash. I need a side hustle after work, trying to make a couple extra bucks. And that would be our janitorial franchise opportunity. But those, you got to be an Anigo franchisee to get our tech. That's where we stop being transparent. You can't give it all away.
And it sounds like a great communication portal for your clients and your team, especially at the level that you guys are serving. So, Adam, what keeps you motivated to keep evolving and serving at a high level?
I actually, I was quoted as saying this, and I was embarrassed that I was quoted because I was quoting Martha Stewart. Did you see the Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix that came out 6, 8 months ago? And I'm like, why the heck am I quoting Martha Stewart? But she's like, I mean, she clearly was well above, just a homemaker. She understood how to scale an empire. I mean, billionaire, right? But she said, if you're through growing, you're through. And I love that because it's like at the end of the day, you start looking at it and again, it's always about, adapting to change. And we've all watched, I was just joking with someone the other day because I had watched, rewatched some of the Breaking Bad, Walter White, and he goes through this evolution and he's on top of the world and he's on top of the mountain as like the kingpin of Breaking Bad. And then what happens? He doesn't adapt, he doesn't change, and the whole empire falls apart. And then like scene because like end of the series, it was 6 seasons or whatever. But if you think about a business, right? You go, how many evolutions do you have to go through just in like a simple product life cycle, right? Like you could decide like the Blockbuster versus Netflix. Blockbuster decided we're in the DVD business. We're in the take home a physical item disc or before that VHS. We're in the take something home physically and watch it business. And Netflix said, we're in the getting movies to people business. And just that shift in mentality is why Blockbuster, who was one of the biggest franchises on the planet for a long time, I think there's one store in like Oregon that's left, and it's like a nostalgic thing at this point. And Netflix is like a trillion or whatever dollar company at this point because you have to decide we're going to evolve with the times. And whether that's movies and moving from a DVD to the streaming world, or if that's, cleaning buildings and what did cleaning start as? It started as, probably people, I don't know, cleaning caves. I don't know. It started as something. And then people were like, well, why should I clean my own business? I can outsource the cleaning of my business. And now why? So I'll hire all these people. And then it turns into, well, why should I hire all these people when it's really two separate businesses? Maybe I'll franchise it. And now we're franchising it and we're saying, okay, what can we do to use the technology to make these even more efficient? And if you're not constantly thinking about what is that next evolution, you're through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're
Well,
gonna,
someone else will do it.
yeah, exactly. Someone else will do it.
Yeah, it's very powerful to continue wanting to innovate and just wanting to grow. And it could mean whatever it is to you at your season. We all go through seasons, and if that season is it's hiring that fifth cleaner so you can get out of cleaning, that's a very important season. And I think those are the best seasons because those are the ones that you're in the grind, you're still doing everything, and then you're in the process of getting out, getting that little bit of freedom so you can start working on other things. And I think that's a lot of fun. It's just being able to say, okay, this is the season that I am in, and these are the things that I need to do to be able to innovate to that next season of my business. Because again, it should really be ingrained in people's head that someone out there is working harder than you. Someone out there has almost the same dreams as you do, and they're actually out there working for them. And the key is always just wake up and do it again. If you
Yep.
can leave one piece of advice with every cleaning business owner listening, what would it be?
Are you uncertain about what you're doing in your cleaning business that's not taking you to the next level? Or you might feel like what you're doing is not the right things. It is okay. That's why I'm here. I help cleaning business owners just like you get the right answers, put good systems and processes to grow your business with confidence. Without confidence, you cannot be a business owner and lead your people. Click the link down below to schedule a free call. We'll talk all business and I can give you the right steps for you to take to give you that confidence back. I cannot wait to connect with you.
I was actually going to bring up, and this would probably be this was some of the best advice that I got was, have you ever heard of the Eisenhower matrix? So it's like a
No.
4 quadrant matrix, right? And on the 2 lines there, you have urgency and importance. And so you have things that are not urgent and not important, right? And so scrolling on Facebook, not urgent, not important, looking on Instagram, whatever, right? Then you have your urgent and important, right? And so, you get a call from your kid's school and you got to pick them up right now, right? Like, okay, you got to drop everything, you got to go. Then you have your urgent but not important, right? So like the phone rings and you're distracted and you go, okay, I got to answer the phone. Or like an email comes in and you feel like, oh God, I better answer this thing, but it's not like super crucial. It's actually quadrant 2 on the Eisenhower matrix. It's the important but not urgent. And what I would say to what that has changed my perspective on business is that everything you do as much as possible should be focused on that second quadrant. Things that are important but not urgent. You know what's important but not urgent? Updating working with a technology company to create a better CRM for your business. Do you need it right this second? No. What's the impact it is going to make on you in 5 years? Spending time putting a job ad together, interviewing and hiring for that 5th cleaner in your example, or for, a CMO in my example. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of hours spent doing that. And is it urgent? No, I was doing the marketing myself, or, I can do that cleaning myself. But how important is that going to be on scaling your business? And that's the quadrant, frankly, that most people forget about, because there's so much urgent going on at every time that when you finally are done with the urgent, what do you want to do? The unimportant. You want to watch a Netflix movie, or, scroll through Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. You know what I mean? You just like, I need to check out. And so it's the people that go, you know what? I'm going to spend my time on the stuff that's important, but not urgent of the moment. Those are the people that get ahead.
It's powerful. That's very, very important. Hope you guys are listening and taking notes on that, because that is what's going to make the difference of where you're going to be in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, is what you focus on. We're going to do a rapid fire round. So in this round, Adam, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you can answer it in 1 word or a sentence. Leadership in 1 word.
A lot of work.
A lot of work. Innovation or consistency?
Innovation.
1 book or mentor that's shaped your leadership?
Simon Sinek.
Tech tool you can't live without?
Trello.
1 thing every cleaning business owner should do daily?
Check in with your customers.
That's very important. Adam, where can our listeners know more about you and how can they find you?
So for the company, it's anigocleaning.com, and we're on all the social media. So if you go on Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn, it's always like /@AnigoCleaning. And I'm very active on LinkedIn personally. So if you type in Adam Pabletz on LinkedIn and shoot me a message, I will be sure to get back to you.
That's cool. Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate your time, brother. You gave a lot of powerful advice, and we're just happy to hear your experience with us. And thank you so much for the listeners listening to this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Pleasure, man.
If you got value out of this episode and you took some notes, that is fantastic. You're 1 step closer to success. Now do me a favor and share it with another cleaning business owner so that we can all learn together. My goal is to bring real stories from real cleaning business owners so that we can grow this industry together. So if you'd like that, please like and share, and I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next episode.